Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki. So today I will not speak so long. There's lots to do. Not like yesterday. So, yes, English seems. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Status Quo, Chapter 21, Conversation between Manu and Kardama, Text 4. Tasyam sa vai mahayogi. Tasyam sa vai mahayogi. Yuktayam yoga lakshanai. Yuktayam yoga lakshanai. Sasarja katidaviryam. Sasarja katidaviryam. Tanme shrushave vada. Tanme shrushave vada. Okay. Tasyam savai mahayogi. Yuktayam yoga lakshanai. Sasarja katidaviryam. Tanme shrushave vada. Mataji's. Tasyam savai mahayogi. Yuktayam yoga lakshanai. Sasarja katidhaviryam. Tanme shrushave vada. Tasyam. In her. Sa. Kardama Muni. Vai. In fact. Mahayogi. Great mystic yogi. Yuktayam. Endowed. Yoga lakshanai. With the eightfold symptoms of yogic perfection. Sasarja. Propagated. Katida. How many times? Viryam. Offspring. Tat. That narration. Me. To me. Shushushave. Who am eager to hear. Vada. Tell. Tell. Translation. How many offspring did that great yogi beget through the princess, who was endowed with eightfold perfection in the yoga principles? Oh, pray tell me this, for I am eager to hear it. Purport. Vidura inquired about Kardama Muni and his wife Devahuti, and about their children. It is described here that Devahuti was very much advanced in the performance of eightfold yoga. The 8 divisions of yoga performance are described as: first, control of the senses; second, strict following of the rules and regulations; third, practice of the different sitting postures; fourth, control of the breath; fifth, withdrawing the senses from sense objects; sixth, concentration of the mind; 7, meditation; 8, self-realization. After self-realization, there are 8 further perfection stages, which are called yoga siddhis. The husband and wife, Kardama and Devahuti, were advanced in yoga practice. The husband was a Mahayogi, great mystic, and the wife was a Yoga Lakshana, or one advanced in yoga. They united and produced children. Formerly, after making their lives perfect, great sages and saintly persons used to beget children. Otherwise, they strictly observed the rules and regulations of celibacy. Brahmacharya, following the rules and regulations of celibacy, is required for perfection of self-realization and mystic power. There is no recommendation in Vedic scriptures that one can go on enjoying material sense gratification at one's whims, as one likes, and at the same time become a great meditator by paying a rascal some money. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshumilitamya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangung Langaiti Girim Yat Kripata Mahangvande Shri Gurun Dina Taranam Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Nina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Basari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hm? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jetzt geht's? Na, vielleicht brauchen wir doch. Ach, wir brauchen doch den Dings da. Verwirrt. Ja. Weil das ist nur für. No. Passt schon so. So, Hare Krishna. Jetzt. Hare Krishna. So, we continue our story of Kardama Muni, who is called here a Maha-yogi. He's not just a regular, normal yogi, he's a Maha-yogi, very powerful, very advanced, very self-realized also. And interesting enough, here in the purport, Prabhupada says that his wife, Devahuti, was a yoga lakshana. So she was very advanced in yoga practice too. It's said here, it is described here that Devahuti was very much advanced in the performance of yoga, eightfold yoga. So this eightfold yoga is also interesting. It's called Ashtanga Yoga. We read it often in Prabhupada's books. But actually it comes from Patanjali, who elaborately explained this eightfold yoga, systematized the yoga. And it's called Ashtanga. Ashta means eight, and Anga means like parts or limbs, right? And there is a text which is attributed to Patanjali, which is called Yoga Sutras. And Yoga Sutras are very, very, very interesting. Yeah, Yoga Sutra starts with explaining what is yoga, and yoga. What is the goal of yoga? It's also said in the beginning. It's what is it? Atha yoga anushasanam. Yeah. Now starts the instruction on yoga, and yoga's chitti vritti nirodha. This is like the second aphorism of Yoga Sutras. What is yoga? What is the purpose of yoga? Stated right in the beginning. What is the purpose of yoga? And yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. This is what is yoga. And it means to make the mind peaceful, actually. Chitta means the mind or consciousness. Vritti means like all kinds of movements. Yeah? And it's explained, it's like you have an ocean and you have little waves or big waves. And these waves are like these vrittis. So when the mind is active with vrittis, with different thoughts, this is not good. Yoga wants to nirodha, means like to negate that or to make it peaceful, to overcome that the mind is completely steady. Yeah, so this is the purpose of yoga. And then he goes into explaining how everything works. And of course, we understand our material mind has to be subdued. And we have to be completely absorbed in Krishna. Yeah. So, and there are different ways how we do that. We do this primarily through the holy name. But any medium we have, who is Krishna, like the deity or the Bhagavatam, the Katha service, there are many mediums. We have to learn to put our consciousness or mind completely in it, that there's nothing else anymore. Then that is samadhi. Prabhupada said that is samadhi. Yeah? Samadhi is, there is in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam this famous shloka where it said that when Prabhupada explains that book distribution is samadhi, and this term, what was it? To work for Krishna, that was in this regard. To work for Krishna, when you're completely able to act for Krishna, and you're completely absorbed in this activity, and Prabhupada says like in book distribution, yeah, then that this is samadhi. And samadhi is the 7th stage of this Patanjali system, the 8th stage of Ashtanga Yoga. And Prabhupada explains these others. So the first is control of the senses. It's called yama, right? Yama, that's the first. Yama means to control the senses. And I forgot there are 5 parts to yama and 5 to niyama, but I forgot them. So first is control of the senses, then the second, strict following of the rules and regulations. There is also brahmacharya recommended. So this was in the second, this one, yama, niyama. Then practice of different sitting postures, asanas. Yama, niyama, asana. Asana is interesting. Prabhupada calls him sitting posture because asan means sitting, right? Vyas asan, that's the seat. So asanas means sitting. But as we know from yoga, what we call asanas, not all of them are done in sitting, right? There are different ones. But the interesting thing is that actually yogic positions, they should be held. You should hold them. It's not so much movement. Even though we have most famous yoga practice, Surya Pranam, which is complete movement, more or less. Okay, maybe you stop at one point, but still it's like a progression of different positions and you move from one into the other. So, and I heard actually the Surya Pranam is not really bona fide. Not bona fide, but it's not really yoga because it's movement. Actually, asana means you hold some position. Yeah. So, but why is this actually done? Why should that be done? Prabhupada always says, actually, the modern yoga societies, they're all nonsense. Why? Not because they do yoga, not because they do asanas, but they don't use asanas for their purpose. Because they think this is yoga. But as I said, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. According to Patanjali, the founder of yoga, more or less, yoga means not being healthy and flexible. Being healthy and flexible might be important for meditation. Prabhupada always says the asanas that are there for that you can meditate for a long time. As we know, if we cannot sit for a long time, we should sit actually like this during meditation. Then how you want to meditate? This is the reason why you always run around like crazy all the time. And I also run around like crazy all the time during chanting. And actually right now I'm working on that, to not run around like crazy all the time. Because it's not really meditation. It's not really meditation. It's just second, how to say. If you cannot sit, you have to walk. And of course we know Prabhupada did it also. But Prabhupada was not saying this is the meditation. It's just when you cannot. And sometimes he did it, just who knows why. I don't know Prabhupada's mind. But it's not that Prabhupada couldn't sit meditating or chanting. He sat actually. Normally he sat. Because this is how you do it. To really absorb. Because the next position, the next one is of course then pranayama. And then a fifth, what is it? Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, no, pratyahara. Pratyahara, withdrawing the senses. So you go more and more internal. Pratyahara means to withdraw your senses. The senses who want to go out, want to see, want to hear, want to be the Gyanendriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses. They always want to have some knowledge, right? They want to perceive something. So you take that back. You don't hear, you don't see, you don't engage with the material outside world. So pratyahara, pulling the senses back. And then dharana is the sixth, concentration of the mind. Then you are more internal already. Right? The first, yama and niyama, they are just the basic outlines, like our four regulative principles. It's not the purpose of Krishna consciousness to keep the four regulative principles, but they have to be there in order to practice Krishna consciousness. And if someone says, oh, it's also possible with, no, it's not working with breaking principles. You can try it. Go to the Oktoberfest, drink 3 Maß beer, and then chant Hare Krishna. Then chant 64 rounds. Let's see how good they will be. Oh, they were very nice. You probably cannot even speak. Yeah. So the four regulative principles are there that we can properly execute devotional service. Because if we are not keeping the principles, we'll be always disturbed in mind, right? So yama niyama like the morals. They are kind of the morals, and when you have them, okay, then you have to bring the body into shape that you can sit. Therefore, the asanas. Then pranayama, which is very helpful to steady the mind. So it's no problem to do some asanas and a little pranayama before chanting. Shouldn't be excessive, but a little bit might help to cool down, to be peaceful, to be relaxed. And then Hare Krishna. With some sankalpa before. Okay, now I sit for so many rounds. I will not stand up, and I will chant my rounds and listen to the holy name. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So and then, and as I said here, it goes more and more internal. So concentration of the mind. 7 is then dhyana, meditation, when you really fix your mind, you are very concentrated. And when you attain the goal, samadhi, when your mind is completely absorbed and fixed, and there's no chance of spacing out. Yeah, and there's actually, I don't remember, what was it? Samprakyata Samadhi and Asamprakyata Samadhi. Actually, Patanjali explains. The one was when you are still keeping the consciousness. Samadhi means, right, if you are Krishna, nothing else anymore. But in the first stage, you still have to do it. It doesn't go away, but you have to do it. And in the higher stage, you don't have to do anything anymore. It's there. You don't have to do it anymore in that sense. It's there. So these are these eight stages, and after this, Prabhupada explains, then come the yoga siddhis. Because it's true, I studied at that time only the first 2 chapters of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Because in third, I think it is for third, the siddhis will come. I think in third or fourth. Then this yoga, the mystic powers are explained, but I haven't read further at that time. And after this, yoga siddhis, and there are also 8 mystic powers, as we spoke recently. The yogi has 8 mystic powers. So, and interesting here said that Devahuti, she was very practiced in this yoga. She was very advanced. So, this is possible also for a woman. Yeah. Of course, we know for women it's not so easy to practice yoga, meditation, austerities, due to the physical and psychological nature, but it's possible. It's possible. And we hear it also in Bhagavad Gita when Krishna says, what's the verse again? How does it start? 9:32. Manghi vyapasha, what is it? Manghi parta vyapashita ye stri, what is the second? Papa Yonaya, Stri Vaishyastata Stepiyanti Paramgatim. This is where Krishna says, even, and it's interesting, there says even, meaning actually for them it's not so easy. Actually it's not so easy for them. Even for women, Shudras and Vaishyas. It's possible to attain Paramgatim, the supreme goal. Right? Especially in bhakti. Because these other processes are extremely difficult. Like this, anyway, is very, very difficult. And this is the reason why in Kali Yuga, where we are more or less all similarly disqualified, there's a difference, but still we are more or less all similarly disqualified. This cannot be done by like anyone. But Bhakti Yoga it's actually very easy. It's very easy. And through this it's very easy. Paramgatim, to reach the supreme goal. Krishna says, I will accept everyone. What to speak of the powerful kings and brahmans and devotees, right? In 933 he says, but what to speak of them? For them, no problem. So surrender, achieve the supreme. So in that sense, they were a good couple, Devahuti and Kardamu. Both were powerful yogis. And this is natural that from such a combination, also very powerful children will come. So they got sons, how was it, 8 or 9? Huh? Yeah, I mean, but 9, 8 or 9, yeah, 9 daughters. First 9 daughters, and then 1 son. Actually, Krishna did it other way around, right? In Krishna Lila, in Dwarka, he did it other way around. 10 sons and 1 daughter. Because actually it said, yeah, you should have sons. Sons are always more emphasized, but there should be a daughter also. It's that the daughter brings auspiciousness to the family. So Krishna, he had 1 daughter also, right, for auspiciousness. And this is also in Garbhadan Samskara explained, that there are certain times when there's intercourse, a son or a daughter will come. And Prabhupada explains this also in Shastra. Not in detail, but he gives the basic principle of Garbhadan Samskara. Right. I don't go into Garbhadan Samskara now. But it's interesting that it's very scientific. It's very scientific how it works. Very scientific. And in detail explained. What are the factors if you have a good child? Singade Bhagavan Ki Jai. A good child is the first thing you want, right? A good child. Second, you want a son or a daughter, and then you can determine that too. especially by the date, which day Garbhadan Samskara is done. And they said on the even days, a boy will come, on the uneven days, a girl will come. But there are certain days which are good, especially the 10, the 12, the 14, the 16. It's good for the sun. 10th day, you get a sun like a Paramatma. 12th day, you get, sun like Keshava, like it's said. But the previous days, there's somewhere said, oh, you will get a lazy sun, better not on these days. And there are also days which are good for getting good daughter, and that days for getting a bad daughter. One day is actually said, if you have Garbhadan Samskara on this uneven day, you get a daughter like a prostitute. So good to know to get good offspring, right? And then the lagna has to be determined, the hour and which sign of the zodiac is arising, right? And a certain which are good, certain which are bad. And there are a whole calculation of this. The karana and the yoga and the lagna, the muhurta, and ritu kala and all that. So it's a whole science how it works. And in ancient times, they knew that. And this was why they needed the brahmanas so badly, because brahmana were actually astrologers. And they knew how this universe, how this works. They knew this cosmic clock. If you cannot read this thing here, right, then you have a hard time understanding how late it is. So the brahmana, he could read the cosmic clock. And what are the dials and the numbers of the cosmic clock? These are the different planetary positions, and not positions, the signs, right? The nakshatras and the zodiac. And they knew where the sun and the moon were kind of like the dials. So where's the sun and where's the moon? Yeah. And then also according to your situation, when are you born? What is your sign, and what is your ascendant and things like this. So they knew all the science, and they took advantage of the planets because they have influence on the individuals. The more we become devotees, the less this is relevant, this effect. The more we become devotees, the less this will... Why? Because we are out of the material energy. The more we are devotees, the less the material energy is affecting us. The more we are devotees. But the less we are devotees, the more we are affected. And how are we affected? By this precision. And then this has to be taken into account. So in that sense, according to, regarding Garbhadan Samskara, Prabhupada made it very simple. He said 50 rounds. Because 50 rounds is very powerful. But at the same time, other things shouldn't be underestimated, just to be sure, right? And so the brahmanas, they were for calculation of all that. When do we do a yagya? You know, actually, there are 10 samskaras in the life of a human being, and they're very important. Garbhadan samskara is the first. This is when you come into this world, right? This is your first, and you actually. It's not that you are helpless in that, because you come according to your karma, but at the same time, the parents, they are very much the ones who do that. Yeah. But then after this, there are, 3 samskaras when you're still in the womb. Then when you come out, then there are the different samskaras, like namkarana samskara, when you get a name, then the grain giving ceremony, the hair cutting ceremony, ear piercing ceremony, things like that. Then when you go to school, and the upanayana, things like this. And this has to be kept. So this is very important. Samskara means, Prabhupada says, purifying rituals. It's a purifying ritual. It's very important in the life of a human. Initiation and all that. And then Vivaha Yagya, and all that. So, yeah, it's a whole science, and the brahmanas. So it's not that brahmanas were only doing deity worship like we, and were for bhakti. Actually, they were for many, many, many things relevant, because everyone had to do these samskaras. Everyone for this you need a brahmana. So the brahmanas were very essential in the Vedic society, and they knew how it works, and they were very learned and also very powerful. They were very powerful. And you need the blessings of the brahmana, you need the ritual. The brahmana was for the communication between the human and God. It's the priest. And this is why they were so highly respected. Yesterday I read in 10th canto The story of Krishna and King Nriga. In short, the boys, Krishna's boys, they went out for playing and they found a lizard in a well, in a dried up well. There was a lizard, a big lizard actually. Normally lizards are not so big. No, depends where you are. Big lizards. And they wanted to get him out, but they could not. So they went back and said, "Oh, Krishna, Daddy," or whoever, most the sons of Krishna, "can you help us?" So he went there. Krishna took out the lizard, and only by the touch of Krishna, the lizard transformed into a demigod. Wow! And then he introduced himself, said, "Oh, I'm King Nriga." And he immediately said, "Maybe you have heard about me." Kind of, I'm Nriga, I'm famous. Maybe you've heard, kind of. Everyone knows me, right? I was the most pious king. And then he's a little bit puffed up, you must say. Actually, the acharyas say he's puffed up. It's not me. The acharyas say he's a little bit boasting with his piety. And then he says, "Yeah, I'm King Nriga. I give so many donations." Because the duty of the king is to give donations to the brahmanas. The king is respecting the brahmanas. King considers himself servant of the brahmanas. And then he says, "I gave so many jewels and gold and houses and girls in marriageable age to the brahmanas," he said, "and cows with silver-plated hoofs and this, that, and I gave thousands, I gave so many things." And then you wonder, why have you become a lizard then? What have you done? That one day, I gave one cow to a brahmana, but this cow, some or other, went back into my herd, and I gave it by accident to another brahmana. And the first brahmana comes and says, "Hey, this is my cow." And in the purport, the acharyas explain, because in this 10th canto is not Prabhupada commenting anymore, these are devotees commenting, especially Ananda Maharaj, and he quotes often from Sridhar Swami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, mainly of these three. And he says, actually, because you wonder, why was this brahmana so attached to the cow? Because the King Nriga said to the brahmanas, to both, because this cow went back in the herd, he gave the cow to another brahmana. And now both brahmanas come to Nriga and say, "This is my cow. No, this is my cow. This is my cow." And they were quarreling. And they said to the king, you did that. You spaced it out. And he was completely humble. He said, "I'm so sorry." He didn't want to offend brahmanas, even though it was a mistake. It was by accident. It wasn't his fault. But still, he saw it as his responsibility. And he begged, "Please forgive me. And please, I give both of you in exchange for this one cow. Please give it back to me. I give you, thousands of cows. I give you for this one thousands of cows. Please accept it." And these brahmanas didn't accept it. And you wonder, why do they give him such a hard time? And in the purport is explained that one of them, at least, he had actually a vow that this was the last cow he accepted. Before, when he got cows from the king, he said he was actually a good brahmana, it said, and he made a vow, "Okay, I have now enough stuff and cows, and I will not accept any cows anymore." So he said, "You cannot bribe me with that, I have a vow, so I want my cow back." So the king had this problem, and both of them left dissatisfied. When he died, many years later he died, the Yamadutas came. Even though he gave so much in charity, which creates lots of piety, good karma, where you normally go directly to the heavenly planets, the Yamadutas came and brought him to Yamaraj. And Yamaraj said, "Oh, King Nriga, what are you doing here?" Actually, he knew. He said, "Okay, so what I know you gave so many donations. You will get enjoyment, riches in the heavenly planets for a long time, thousands of years you will enjoy. But you did a big mistake also. You made a big mistake. For this you will get also negative reaction. So I let you choose. You want to have the good or the bad first?" And this is interesting now, because there we see that you can get for one life karma for 2 lives. Right? Because sometimes we think you have this one life, and then according to this life creates, so to say, the next life. But sometimes there's like from one life karma for more lives. Not just two, maybe more. It's very complex. It makes it more complex. So the king said, what did he say? Please give me the bad reaction first. And then Yamaraj said, so fall. Fall. And he fell and became a lizard. And then in the purport, and I never knew that, so it's very good to read the books. This is in Bhagavatam Krishna book, but some details you have in the Bhagavatam because of the acharyas. And then another detail. Because then he became a lizard, but was liberated by Krishna himself. So it was actually, in one sense, a blessing. And when he came out of his lizard body, he said then to Krishna, please, and that's also interesting, then he said, okay, thank you so much, but please now let me go to the heavenly planets to get my good karma. So you wonder, okay, you can see the karma Mishra Bhakta. Because he prayed very nicely to Krishna, you're the supreme, this, that, and please now let me go to the heavenly planets. Which means he's not really a pure Bhakta. But he said, but let me always remember you. Let me always remember you. I'm very eager for your, to think about you. And he actually said, when I was a lizard, how was I forgot, but he said something like, I was always eager to see you. And then the acharyas explained, how can it be? He was actually a materialist. He was actually a materialist. But how could it be that he had such an intense desire to see Krishna? He said, I'm eager to see you. And then is explained, I think it was, it was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When he gave so many donations, one day there came a devotee, a bhakta. And this bhakta wanted to have a temple for Krishna deities. And he begged for that. And the king gave it. And he wanted also make copies of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. It's said there in the purport. He wanted to make book distribution. He wanted to distribute books. And he said the king arranged that. And then this brahmana, this devotee, blessed him. May you always be attached to Krishna. May you be eager for Krishna, something like this. He got this blessing. And so he got this desire for Krishna. Laulyam tatra mulyate. What is this verse? No? This verse. He became eager for Krishna. So Krishna said, okay, thank you so much for this story, and he sent him to the heavenly planets. And then Krishna instructs his sons. And it's very intense. Because he says, he speaks about the holiness of the Brahmana. And says, Brahmanas are so important. Never disrespect the Brahmana. And never long for the property of a Brahmana. When you do that, if you steal from a Brahmana, you will go to a hell called Kumbhibaka hell. And there you will be cooked for eternity. Krishna said, Kumbhibaka hell. And you go to a hell, or the other hells you will go and you become a worm in stool. Never steal from a Brahmana. Not even look at the property of a Brahmana. Don't think about the property of a Brahmana. And he preaches to his Kshatriya sons. And it's very, very intense and pronounces the importance of the Brahmanas. Yeah. And this is the moral of the story. Nriga, making a mistake, but still it was enough to send him to, but because, he was to some degree a devotee at least, he got the darshan, he got a blessing, saw the Lord, and the Lord used that to instruct us then about the Brahmana. So only my question in this regard is, in Vedic times it was very clear who is a Brahmana. The social system, facilitated that. Now it's very difficult. Most of us are Brahmana initiated. So we are Brahmanas, but are we Brahmanas also by Varna? I'm not a Brahmana by Varna. I'm Brahmana by our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So it's a little complicated to understand. Of course, we are devotees, and actually devotee is way more important than a Brahmana. So in general, what we can learn, we should not offend devotees, even being a devotee. Because you can also say that the Brahmanas, they were offended. Sometimes, we know from another story, Vishwamitra Muni, he was offending a Kshatriya. And he got a reaction, not Vishwamitra Muni. Who was it? No, who was with Ambarish? Yeah, Vishwamitra. Durvasa, yeah. Durvasa. It was Durvasa. He was offending a devotee and got a reaction. And he was a Brahmana. So Brahmana is not above the law, so to say. Cannot treat anyone as he likes. So, okay, that's what we learn. We learn not to offend devotees, because Krishna loves his devotees. He loves Brahmanas, but he loves devotees more. And we should understand Vaishnava Parad is the most critical thing you can do. Vaishnava Parad is not only insulting or beating or stealing a Vaishnava. Vaishnava Parad is also not being happily serving a Vaishnava. And our problem is that we live too long in the association of Vaishnavas and take them for granted. And so we make offenses. And this is one reason why we don't make advancement. So the art in Krishna consciousness is to learn to lovingly serve the Vaishnavas and see oneself as a servant of the Vaishnavas. Dasanudas. This needs a lot of purity and humility. And see everyone as a Vaishnava, but not see yourself as a Vaishnava. Because we might think, I'm also a Vaishnava, but we should actually think, I'm not a Vaishnava. Even Prabhupada said this. When you said, oh, you're a Vaishnava, he said, no, I'm not a Vaishnava. I'm aspiring to become a Vaishnava. I'm a servant of the Vaishnava. This is a very secure position. You think yourself being a karmi. That's good. I'm a karmi. I'm just a karmi, just a regular materialist, and by mercy I can live, can be with devotees. And I can serve these devotees. And everyone is a devotee. That's a good position. Not easy. It's not that I can do that. Not that I think I'm a Vaishnava. I think I'm a very advanced Vaishnava, actually. I think you are karmis and you should serve me. This is ego, things like that. Huh? But actually, I'm a little bit over time, but one point in the end. It said even in material sciences, motivational sciences, goal setting, how to be successful in life. And this is completely true for Krishna consciousness. It's actually true because it's true in Krishna conscious point of view, but it actually works in the material. But actually it's like this. You create a vision of the best you can be, of the best self, of your best ego, spiritual ego. Create a vision. And this is not difficult for us. Huh? We have Prabhupada, we have the example of devotees, we want to be like devotees. Create a vision of your perfect self. And simply start acting like that. And you will become like that. This is our process, actually. And then material science also, they say, project, being successful, be courageous, be intelligent, be, positive thinking, all that. And then just do it. But in Krishna consciousness, the same. Project yourself being a pure devotee. How would a pure devotee now act, think, speak, and act, and not just do like that? And just take this as your value system. And then compare yourself against that, and you see immediately where you have to work on. Okay, if I would be a devotee, I would be like humble. Yeah, in this situation, I would be humble. Oh, because okay, so I have to work on that. Just be like that. Just, don't be proud, this and that. If I would be a devotee, how would I chant Hare Krishna? Not like running around like crazy and thinking about the whole universe all day long. I would like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Just do it. And it will not work immediately, but working on it. It's not difficult. We just have to be working on it, having this vision of us, being convinced that I can be like that. Why not? And being brutally honest with yourself, because the ego tells you, I am already like that. Nothing to work on. I have nothing to do. I am already like that. Brutally honest means seeing all the disqualifications, seeing the weaknesses. And why we don't want to see it? Because the ego is then hurt. No, I thought I'm so great and wonderful. I didn't know that I'm such an idiot. No, I mean, yeah, I'm an idiot, I'm puffed up, I'm this, that, this, that, this, that. And finally, when you see it, you can work on it. So, this is our lesson to really, so make your, this vision of your perfect self, pure devotee, and then just act like that. How would I act if I would be like that? I wouldn't be this, that anymore. Okay. And then working on it daily. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Anything you want to add? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You spoke that we should be aware of astrology and like your example of Bhagavatam or Samskara, and we should work with that. So, and be systematic and make sure that we are on a line of piety. So, and then you said that when we become advanced in devotional service, then we don't care about it anymore because we are above. So, and I'm wondering that, like, I'm wondering, is it maybe a deeper understanding that we engage in devotional service nicely and we go with the, we go with the flow of Krishna's internal energy, and by that our material surroundings will become auspicious? Or is it then not material anymore? How is it? I'm wondering, is it that Krishna moves us differently in the material energy, or is he actually taking it away?
So first, I was not saying that we don't care anymore about these technicalities. Actually, if we advance, we should care about them, like Vedic principles are there. But I just say, even though you make mistakes or this and that, Krishna is more in charge and will correct it. But we should, I think, respect certain things. Even we hear always Prabhupada didn't like or didn't need astrology. Prabhupada spoke against astrology only when he saw devotees were not mature enough for it, because they would be think this is the same like Krishna consciousness, their minds would be carried away like that. But at many points, Prabhupada, even just in the text, recommends astrology, and it works, it's a science, we should know it, it's a fact, right? So we always have to understand everything in the right perspective. And the second question, if we are spiritual, if Krishna, what you ask, takes away material energy or just manipulates material energy? Or what was this the question? How does Krishna deal with material energy for a devotee, advanced devotee? How does it work then? I think both. He's not taking, let's say like this. Krishna is not taking away the material energy. When we are pure devotees, doesn't mean that the material energy is not there anymore, doesn't work anymore. No, it's still there. It's the same world, but a pure devotee knows how to deal with the world. And so this, the transcendental aspect is at least that matter his activities don't create karma anymore. Right? This is the main point, that his activities don't create karma anymore. It's on the akarma stage, but because he uses everything in Krishna's service. But matter is still there. And he's always remembering Krishna wherever he looks. Or simple like that. I don't know, I think it was not really answering your question, but in regard to material energy, it's not dissolving. Yeah. And Krishna can always interfere with any situation and help. Okay? I think you expected more, but that's all I can say. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.